I'm Josh.
And I'm Jen. Welcome to the Gospel Shaped Family Podcast.
Each episode brings biblical wisdom and practical conversations on parenting, marriage, and family. And we discuss how to disciple the next generation with a biblical worldview.
Whether you're raising children, shepherding a church, or longing to build a legacy of faith in your home, this podcast is for you.
Join us as we explore how to shape hearts, homes, and churches around the gospel, one conversation at a time.
Hey friends, welcome back to the podcast, Gospel Shaped Family.
Thanks for listening. Hope your day is going well.
Yeah. All right. Well, today we're diving into a hotly debated topic.
What would that be?
In parenting circles. The topic is this: should I allow my child to go to sleepovers or have a sleepover? And I have had this conversation with so many moms. Have you talked about it with parents in the past?
Once in a while, yeah.
Oh my goodness. Maybe because I'm like the scheduler sometimes with kids' stuff.
Because they ask you to do stuff. Yeah.
I think every single one of our kids have been asked to do sleepovers in different ways throughout the years.
Over the years, yep.
And it always comes up. It comes up with regularity. And so everybody has a lot of opinions on it. So why not discuss it here?
Yeah. Did you do sleepovers when you were a kid?
I sure did. Yes. Let's see here. Well, I kind of stopped doing sleepovers when I was in like 8th grade when my family moved, because we moved far away. But I remember having like a group of friends that I did sleepovers with when I was in elementary school. We didn't normally do sleepovers at my house. I don't really ever remember having a lot of them at my house, but I remember like very distinctly at my friends' houses, both in elementary school and then again with my like different junior high friends. And I will say the sleepovers that I went to were like crazy sometimes. Like it was crazy. Like I'm sure my parents didn't know like all the girly stuff we were doing. And like, yeah, I went to a ton of sleepovers. Did you?
I don't think I did much until high school.
High school?
And then in high school, me and my buddies would pretty regularly, we'd play like Access and Allies. I don't know if anybody's ever played that game. It's literally like a half a day long game. And then
you'd stay all night.
We'd stay up late in the night playing that, or we'd do like, back when I was in high school, there wasn't like airsoft and other stuff. It was paintball.
Okay.
So we'd do paintball and, anyways, yes, we did that kind of stuff.
All night.
Yeah.
At whose house? Like one of your buddies' house?
Most of my youth group guy friends, yeah.
That's crazy. I never did stuff like that in high school. But yeah, when I was younger, it was a lot of sleepovers. And yeah, I mean, I remember sometimes I'd be like, can I stay an extra night? And my parents would be like, yeah.
I do remember one sleepover at my house. It was in middle school. I had a friend over, and in Minnesota, anybody that lived here will remember this. He stayed over Halloween.
Oh, the blizzard.
And it was the blizzard of 91. He stayed over. And how much snow did we get? Like 30 some inches?
It was higher
4 feet.
It was higher than our front door of our house.
Yeah. And we got so much snow. So my friend stayed over, but we got so much, it snowed for days.
Yeah.
And so he got stuck at our house. I think he was over for 3 or 4 total days.
Was that fun?
So this was like the endless sleepover. And we were like, of course, as kids, we were like,
I bet his parents were freaked out.
Oh, yeah. But it was, yeah. So we had fun in the snow, of course, when you get that 3-4 feet of snow.
Did you go out and play in that snow?
Of course we did.
I don't know if I remember going out in it. We lived in like a split level house and the snow was like almost up to that split level window. Maybe my older brother would remember better, but that in Minnesota, the blizzard of 91 is legendary. Mm-hmm. Like people wear hats and sweatshirts that say like, I survived the blizzard of 91. There's been nothing like it since.
No, that was a biggie.
Anyways, that's a Minnesota tangent to sleepovers.
Yeah, so should my child do sleepovers? So, I'll just say this going into it. There's nothing in scripture on this topic that I'm aware of. So this is not we don't want to be legalistic about it, but I do think this is like a wisdom discernment kind of subject where we just need to be mindful of the kinds of things that can happen and what's the benefits of it.
Yeah.
But what's the potential problems that come from it as well. So I think we'll start with, I'm going to start with James Dobson.
Oh boy, old school. We both said that, old school, same time.
Well, and so I remember the first time I was thinking about this, I read something by James Dobson, and he actually encourages children not to participate in sleepovers, and the reason he says is because of the vulnerability and the danger that
there's absolute vulnerability
are exposed to out of a parent's sight, especially younger children. And so he actually says this in his book, Bringing Up Girls. He says, sadly, the world has changed in the last few decades. And by the way, this was written decades.
This was written a long time
decades ago. So think about how it's changed since then even.
Yeah.
So the world has changed in the last few decades, and it's no longer a safe place for children. Pedophiles and child molesters are more pervasive than ever. That is why parents must be diligent to protect their kids every hour of the day and night. Until you have dealt with the little victims as I have and seen the pain in their eyes, you might not fully appreciate the devastation inflicted by molestation. It casts a long shadow on everything that follows, including future marital relationships. Therefore, parents have to think the unthinkable in every situation. The threat can come from anywhere. And we don't like to think about this, but it's true. But it can include neighbors and uncles and stepfathers and grandfathers and Sunday school teachers and coaches and music instructors and scout leaders and babysitters and people at our church. I was just talking, this is not what Dobson said, I'll add this. I was literally just talking with a father who discovered his daughter had been sexually abused for a very long time by a trusted leader at his church. Sad. And you never think these things. You think this is never going to happen to my child until it does. And then Dobson adds, I almost laugh at this now because this was decades ago. Even public bathrooms can be dangerous today. Think of all the transgenderism stuff today.
Yes.
That didn't even exist, in the same degree. It did exist, but it not overtly. Like we were just in
last week,
a Target.
Last week, yeah. I was in Target. So Josh and I were in Target, and I was like, I'm going to run to the bathroom. And in the stall next to me, I swear it was a man just sitting very, very still on the toilet. Like, I came in, I was like, spidey sense up. I was like, oh my gosh, I bolted out of there so fast. It was like, and I've never really experienced that before, but like, yes, even public bathrooms, like where you think things are going to be in the light are. Yes.
So he's focusing on the sexual abuse here, and that's a huge concern
for sleepovers.
What other things would we want to keep in mind as far as things we would not want our kids to be a part of at a sleepover?
Yeah, like it's funny you asked that. We didn't talk about that, but like I wrote down some of the things that like happened when I was a kid. So there was obviously a lot of movie watching. Like my parents they sometimes had strict movie watching rules, but like I remember there were like specific movies that my mom was like, you're not allowed to watch those movies. And I totally watched them at sleepovers. And because it
puts a child in a really difficult place,
right? Because my friends' parents were like, hey, we're gonna do this or whatever, or they were like, one time they offered to take us to the movie theater, like this wasn't planned, but they're like, hey, we're going to the movie theater and we're gonna go see this movie. And I was like, and I went along. So there's obviously like movie watching, that like, not that all movies that they're gonna watch are gonna be bad, but I think that at nighttime, after mom and dad,
the oversight of media at somebody else's house is generally impossible.
In general, movies. I would say, media. I wrote that. There was a lot of like gossip, like mean girl talk. stuff like that like you wouldn't normally do, but I think it gets to be late and then you're like, the claws come out, not like towards each other at the sleepovers, but maybe like talking about others. It's just like unwholesome talk. Things can, unravel pretty quickly when you're in 7th grade and you're...
What great things happen between, say, midnight and 2 a.m.?
I don't even know. I can remember one time the older sister... I mean, we don't...
Usually it's not great things at night, right?
One of my friends I was like in 7th grade and her older sister was like in high school and she was like, I'm taking diet pills. And she was like showing us her diet pills. And she was like, do you guys want some? I was like, I don't want any diet pills, but like, would I have been offered those if I had like stayed home with my parents? No, like, yeah. I mean, I saw all sorts of strange things. And my friends that I would go to these things, they were not Christian people either. So, yeah.
For shame.
Shame. We want to take a break and thank our sponsor, Renew a Nation. If you've benefited from the Gospel Shaped Family podcast, consider hopping online and making a tax-deductible donation at renewanation.org today. Your generous donations make this podcast possible and further our work to help children develop a biblical worldview. Also, if you've enjoyed this episode, you can support us by leaving a 5-star review wherever you listen. This helps us grow and reach more families with a biblical worldview. Now back to the show. I mean, I saw all sorts of weird stuff. Did you, when you would go to sleepovers with your friends, they were all really holy playing video games or playing?
So my one friend, he did not have Christian parents, and he became a Christian through our youth group.
Oh, cool.
And so he was trying to, live, but you get parents that aren't Christians, and it was a bit of a wild thing sometimes in his house. They were definitely as not Christian media. They didn't speak. There was a lot of profanity. In my friends' parents. They would like drop the F-bomb, and I was like, whoa, I'd never even heard that before. And my parents did not love me going over there. Today, he is not walking with Christ, and he has renamed himself a female. So his environment won the day. My other friend, his parents were very solid, very good home. That one, they were like hawks on everything. So that usually was very positive.
You still had fun.
Still had fun. Yeah. I
mean, I just think there was a lot that can go on, after parents go to bed. Even like food wise, I remember we would always like drink lots of things. I mean, and again, like these things, like drinking lots of sodas and eating junk food aren't like inherently bad. But I think that things add up, right? Like one thing adds to another, and where, I think children behave in ways that they probably wouldn't, or say things that they probably wouldn't. And so I think as a Christian person, that's probably not good for your testimony, and it's not leading you closer to the Lord. So
we determined for our kids,
the answer for sleepovers was
we made it a family rule that our kids would not be allowed to spend the night at their friends' homes, and
we just kind of set that as policy.
This was a long time ago.
Yeah.
So this was when
there was no bad incident. There was nothing.
This was when our Jay and Asher were really little at the time, and we just were thinking things through in the future, and we decided, you know what, we're not going to do this.
Yeah.
And of course that would be different for grandparents.
Yep.
We didn't have, and sometimes when we would go out of town, typically we would want them to stay with a grandparent. That was the one rule change we felt like was okay to break in this area. But we got to the point of saying, you know what, there's really not things that happen in the middle of the night. Kids don't need to be sleeping at somebody else's house at that time. They can have all the same kind of fun without having to sleep at somebody else's house.
Yeah.
And so we told our kids, we're happy to be accommodating to you so you can spend time with friends during the day, and even come pick you up at an event, later, 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock. You come sleep at home, and then if there's something happening in the daytime, the next day, we're happy to drive you back.
And I've done that a bunch with the kids where like if a friend is like, oh, we're having this sleepover, we're doing this or whatever, we'll say like, oh, you know, what time can I come pick them up? And I'll pick them up at 10 p.m. And what I have found is that a lot of times that families will be like, oh, well, then we don't even need to do the sleepover. Like, let's just do something different. And like the girls were talking about doing the sleepover. It was like last summer or something. There was all this sleepover talk. And then the moms just kind of like recrafted it. And we're like, we're going to get together and the girls are going to have breakfast and then they're going to hang out during the day. And by the time we picked them up after dinner, I think they were ready to be picked up. It was like a marathon day.
Just a long time together.
It was a long time together. And so
they loved it, of course. A great time.
But it just kind of goes to show like they can get their fill of togetherness by not necessarily having a sleepover
over the night. Yeah. So we just took that right off the table without exception. And that means we don't have to have individual explanations. Like sometimes it's a yes, sometimes it's a no.
Yeah.
And then it's clean for all of our kids in every way because it kind of removes some of those challenges. Now we do one event a year with a whole bunch of other fathers. We call the father and son camp out. We sleep in our own tent. I'm there with our sons.
Each father and son sleeps in their own tent.
The rest of the fathers are present. And I'm okay with that because that's a family-centered, family-based kind of thing. It's not sending your kid out alone. And so those kinds of things are, we put those in a different category. Anything else you'd say about this?
Yeah, I would just say that in general, we just want to be prudent with the environments we're sending our kids into. Once something happens, you really just can't go back. And so giving our children the gift of childhood, the gift of innocence, the gift of friendships that are not marred by, some of the ugly that come with sleepovers, has been a gift. And it's been freeing for our kids to even be able to say like, oh no, I'm not doing that. And so that's just our family rule. And it's not like, awkward or weird. But yes, so when it comes to sleepovers,
the benefits do not outweigh the risk.
Yep. So Josh and Jen, our team, no sleepovers.
There you go.
No sleepovers.
All right, let's finish today with a different segment.
Oh, yes, a segment.
What are you reading?
It's book time. Woo-hoo.
All right, Jen, give us a quick summary of what you're reading lately.
Okay, I'm reading 2 books. One of them I just finished. I got this book. It's called The One Cow Revolution. Now, I know I talk about my cows a lot, but this book is by Sean and Beth Doherty, and they wrote this book a few years ago. I don't know.
This is for the one other person that has a cow
who
listens to this.
Loves homesteading. But they wrote The Independent Farmstead. So basically, their other book talked about if you want to be like food independent, how do you start a homestead and then be, independent? So like your animals feed one another and your family.
So if you wanted to homestead and have a cow, this would be a great book.
I think this is a good starting book, The One Cow Revolution. So basically it talks about if you add 1 cow to your household, and they're not talking about, you need to own 100 acres and have a cow on that 100 acres. They're talking about, you could have just like a couple acres and, move your cow around those acres and feed them hay. And that the milk from that cow would sustain your family. It could feed chickens. It could feed a little pig. And so they talk about 1 cow changes everything.
Yeah, with 1 cow, you can essentially be almost food self-sufficient.
Self-sufficient.
Because the cow, because pigs and chickens need a form of protein, and they can get that through the milk from a cow.
Yeah.
And cows can get their feed from grass. So you can have it's hard to do that in Minnesota when it gets so cold. You have to have hay, of course. But
we give ours like alfalfa.
But you learn how to do this well, you technically can essentially be self-sufficient with a single milk.
Milk, butter, cheese for your family, feed a pig, feed a couple pigs, feed your chickens, and then when your cow has a calf every year, which is what gives them milk, then that calf can either become more milk for you or that calf becomes beef for you.
Awesome. All right, let's keep going.
The other one I'm reading is, this is a funny one. It's called The Amazing Maurice and His Educated Rodents. It's by Terry Pratchett. Full disclaimer, I don't know anything about Terry Pratchett, but we were at Barnes & Noble and I was looking for like cat-themed books. So I asked this lady, and so she said, this is such a good book. So basically the premise is this cat, his name is Maurice, and he has all these friends. They're rats. The cats are smart. And the rats, they can like think like humans. And so they pull off this scheme where they go from like town to town where they think there's a rat problem. And then Maurice, the cat, comes in and like eradicates that. It's funny. It's a funny cat book. It's a cat book.
You love it.
It's funny and it's so different. I haven't read any book like it before. It's funny.
So you love cats.
If you need a funny read, it's good. It's fiction.
Great.
Okay, what are you reading, Josh? Really quick.
I got 3 very different kinds of books. I just finished this book. Ugh, can't bend my hand though. It's called, if you're watching, it's called Rework. And this is great for anybody who runs their own business, is in any kind of corporate job, big organization. You're trying to think about, how do I strategically lead and grow these areas? It's phenomenal. I like this book because it's a little bit of it's a principled, contrarian, that's very concise in its thinking. I like all of those things.
A principled, contrarian.
They're principled thinking in why they're talking about what they're talking about, and their experience. They've lived it out in running their own business. This is written by the people that created Basecamp, if you've used that software at all. And then it's contrarian a little bit, that they cut across the grain of some common thinking, and I like that.
Yeah, that's a Josh thing.
I'm a little sometimes out of the box in some of my thinking, and this makes you think. I like that kind of book. It's like, all right, this isn't the same thing everybody always says.
Yeah,
you're just gonna be more white noise, and it's concise. Most of the chapters are literally like a page or two, and I like that. If you're like, why say in 3,000 words what you can say in 500? Like, just don't give me the fluff. Just get down to it. Boom. I loved it. So that's great. Fantastic book there. I am halfway through, and I've read this book before, so this is my second time. High Lonesome. I am a big time Louis L'Amour fan.
Classics.
I've got, I don't know, 75, 100.
He has a whole big
shelf of Louis, and these are my, like, when I need a brain break, I will listen to his audiobooks when I travel after speaking and I'm just like fully exhausted, and I love curling up with Louis. Louis is the best Western writer in my book. And here's what, if you got boys, they would love Louis L'Amour. Louis, I don't know what Louis believed about Christ or Christianity or anything, but he definitely has a Christian morality in these books. Like 10 Commandments are reflected in what he writes about. And in fiction books, the way we read them, we kind of put ourselves in the shoes of the character, and we imagine ourselves thinking about, okay, if I was this person, how would I act in this? This is and it teaches a morality through the actions of the characters in the books. This does that really well, and they're super fun. And then the one I'm working through right now, super classic. I've never read this book, and so I decided I'm going to read it.
What do you think?
The Wind in the Willows. Love it so far. I'm about halfway through, and highly recommend. There's a reason it's a classic.
Yeah. Very cute.
Great read aloud with your kids if you're looking for one in these cold winter days.
Chilly winter days.
Yep.
All right, that was fun.
All right. Thank you. You too. That's great. All right, that's it for us today.
That's all for today.
Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Gospel Shaped Family Podcast. Please share this episode and give us a 5-star rating wherever you get your podcasts.